Pokémon are known to undergo a radical transformation referred to as evolution. This typically involves the Pokemon becoming a superior version of their former selves while adopting an entirely new form. For a franchise centered around the concept of a species that constantly evolves over time in order to become better, it's incredibly ironic that the franchise itself often fails to do so. Pokemon, at least when it comes to the main series, is known for playing it extremely safe, rarely deviating from the cookie-cutter template established decades ago in the 90s in any meaningful way. GameFreak, the developer, was the reason for the absence of any true evolution of the series, due to failing to evolve themselves. At least, that was the case, up until recently. GameFreak has done the unthinkable and has shaken up the franchise from its stagnating core in unprecedented ways. For the first time ever, a studio outside of GameFreak will be developing mainline, core Pokemon titles in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, the highly anticipated Gen 4 remakes. The implications of this cannot be overstated in its sheer significance for the future of the franchise as a whole. A lot of you guys are passionate about the idea of Pokemon being developed by someone other than GameFreak. In my Fall of Pokemon video, I asked you all, if given the chance to replace GameFreak, which studio would you want to develop a Pokemon game and why? This pinned comment managed to hit the reply cap of 500 replies, a cap I didn't even realize existed prior. And even then, there were still people commenting on the video itself answering that same question while pointing out how they were unable to reply to the original comment, often expressing confusion not being aware of the reply cap themselves. So, there is very clearly an intense demand for Pokemon to be handled by someone else. And now it's no longer just a pipe dream. It's actually happening for real. This subject is so substantial though that it warrants its own video, one which is currently in the works, so we'll leave it at that for now. Let's turn our attention towards GameFreak themselves and their recent love letter to Breath of the Wild, Pokemon Legends Arceus. Instead of relying on the comforting, warm embrace of past conventions, GameFreak chose to take a huge risk, casting aside their safety net in favor of braving uncharted waters in the search of something new and exciting. Some remnants of past titles remain, like selecting one starter consisting of fire, water, and grass, but never before did the selection pool consist of starters from varying regions. So even the tropes themselves are subtly subverted in fun and interesting ways. Legends takes place in the Sinnoh region, but it's the question of when that is most intriguing. All Pokemon games took place within the same relative time period, but Legends is different. It's during a time so far in the past that the region is referred to as the Hisui region, not Sinnoh, and the concept of Pokemon sharing a symbiotic relationship with humans is foreign. Pokemon are regarded as terrifying creatures, and are feared by the common folk. The player is tasked not with collecting badges or being the best there ever was, nor is the player tasked with completing the Pokédex, per se, but instead is tasked with creating the very first Pokédex ever, from the ground up. Yet another neat spin on an old classic. The battle gimmick this time around isn't excessive or over the top, and seeks to expand upon the traditional turn-based combat by spicing it up with battle styles. Arguably one of the most significant changes to combat achieved in an organic and non-intrusive way. It feels like a natural progression that complements the more fast-paced, action-oriented approach of Legends Arceus. Speaking of action-oriented, the implementation of the trainers is like nothing we've ever seen before in a traditional JRPG Pokemon title. The trainers are a lot more engaged and involved than merely shouting commands to their Pokemon from the sidelines. Trainers can be affected by Pokemon both outside and even during battle. The battles themselves feel more dynamic as they're initiated in real time as opposed to transitioning to a separate battlefield. All of these major developments contribute to transforming the former cut-and-dry gameplay of past Pokemon titles into a more modern, rejuvenated interpretation that I'm positive will be refreshing to play around with. Now, don't get me wrong. Legends Arceus is far from a spectacle and it still leaves a lot to be desired visually. Only being marginally better than Sword and Shield isn't much of an accomplishment, especially when you have behemoths like Doki V running around, which has such outstanding graphical fidelity and breathtaking visuals that it almost looks like you're playing a motion picture. Legends overworld does seem quite flat, dull, and empty at times, with little if any compelling points of interest scattered throughout the lands. The player character is almost entirely surrounded by either flat earth, trees, or water, with the exceptions being only a few notable locations offering something resembling intrigue and mystery, briefly shown in the trailer. and the Pokemon themselves, of course. I really wish GameFreak had gone with this type of charming aesthetic for the entire game, a more cel-shaded approach similar to Wind Waker. It would have been an excellent stylistic choice and would have complemented the aesthetic Legends is going for to a T. Such a sorely missed opportunity. The changes GameFreak has made so far, however, is evidence of more thought and care being poured into Legends, which is certainly a much needed and welcomed change of pace. GameFreak's dramatic shift from cookie-cutter Pokemon games to something far more inspirational and ambitious speaks volumes of their abrupt evolution as a developer, and raises many pressing questions regarding the future. Is Legends the start of a new branch of mainline Pokemon titles? Could we see a Legends game that covers each generation? What will Generation 9 look like as a result? Will GameFreak even be developing those types of games anymore? Or will a new developer take up the mantle while GameFreak focuses on Legend-style content? All of these questions and their respective answers will be answered in due time. Until then, I look forward to seeing what GameFreak manages to cook up next. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly hop on the mic to share my thoughts about this with you guys, as it's pretty exciting stuff overall. How about you? Do you think GameFreak will succeed in making Legends a one-of-a-kind Pokemon experience? Or has GameFreak bitten off more than they can chew? I read every comment, so as always, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks for watching, until next time.